Do you enjoy eating stuffed vegetarian vine leaves and would love to learn how to make it yourself? Then come along with me and I'll show you how to make this delicious dish quick and easy. Let's go. Hey guys, Musa here from Quantum Home Improvements and Solutions. Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to show you how to make a very tasty dish called stuffed vegetarian vine leaves, which is known in Arabic as Warak Enab, and which basically means paper of the grape or the leaf of the grape. This is a very traditional dish and very popular in the Middle East, and there's literally 1,000 different ways of making it. So a lot of people do use meat, but today obviously I'm just going to make a vegetarian version, which is what I'm used to and what I enjoy. So as a Maronite, during the Lent period, we tend to not eat meat, and this is a great dish to eat during the Lent period. So the ingredients you're going to need is grape leaves, rice, olive oil, tomatoes, lemons, onions, 7 spices, salt, a bit of extra pepper, and some mint. So we have a grapevine here at home, which we harvest our leaves from, which my dad gave me, God rest his soul, and it's a beautiful plant. Okay, so now I'll get into it and I'll show you how to make this delicious dish. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut the tomatoes. So it doesn't matter what type you're going to use, but they do need to be ripe, and you will need about 4 to 5 good sized tomatoes. So first I'm going to cut them, and then I'm going to dice them very finely, roughly around 5 millimeters, just under 1/4 of an inch. So the next thing I'm going to do is cut the onions, and so I'm using 3 medium size, and once again you will need to cut them quite fine, and it does help to distribute the taste more evenly. So the next thing is the lemons. You'll need roughly 1 or 2 depending on how juicy they are and the size of the lemon. Now some people do prefer to put a lot of lemon, so just trial that and see how you go. Okay, so now the main ingredient to make these stuffed vine leaves is the vine leaves. Now, because grapes are seasonal, it's very hard to get them in winter. So what we do is actually collect them during the summer period and we put them away. You can either pickle them or you can freeze them. Some people do use them fresh, and that still works as well. It's up to you how you're going to do it. And so for convenience, I do freeze them. So I'm going to grab them now and let them thaw out. Okay, so I've got it in the freezer bag. There's a fair amount here. I'd say roughly there's about 100 leaves here. So I will just open them up, break them up a bit. There we go, just so they can thaw out quicker. There we go. So here I've got some fresh vine leaves that's been picked off the tree this morning and washed. So these ones here will not be to make the dish, but instead to put at the base of the pot. So when you are cooking this particular dish, it will burn the rice or the leaves a little bit. So you have to have a buffer between them so they're not touching the metal. So you can use potatoes, meat, tomatoes. You can use a whole heap of different things. But traditionally we use the vine leaf. So these particular vine leaves are not good for the dish. These are thicker and older, so you can't use these really. So you've got to make sure when you are picking up your grape leaves that they're good size, they're fairly fresh, so you can actually see the color of them. They're more of a lighter color, and they're not coarse. If they are coarse, they're going to be too tough to eat. And one thing to note, when I do pick them off the vine, I do take the stem right down, so I don't have to waste time later cutting them down. Okay, so while they're thawing out, I'm going to put the filling together. Okay, so I've got here 3 cups of medium grain rice, and now I'm just putting the tomatoes. I'll put in the onions. I'll put in 1 tablespoon of 7 spices. I'll put 3 tablespoons of mint. So this mint we've grown in our garden and we use a lot of it. So I'll put in 2 teaspoons of salt. Unfortunately, I don't have any sea salt, so I'm just putting table salt. So I'm just putting a bit of pepper in, just a bit more. I believe the 7 spices already has some, but I'm just putting some more. Wow, that smells incredible. Okay. So now I'll pour in 1 cup of olive oil and I'll put in the lemon. So lemon is a very big factor to this dish. The more lemon you put, the greater enhanced the taste is. Some people like more, some people less. Okay, so we'll just mix that in. Okay, so mix this really well. Just get that flavour going throughout. Okay, so before I go too much further, I'm just going to clear this bench. Okay, so now I'll just put these fresh grape leaves in and I'll just distribute them evenly. So just make sure you cover all the areas so there's no exposed metal. Perfect, just enough. Just going to mix this one more time because all the ingredients are settling now. Okay, so the grape leaves have now thawed out. I'll just grab one. So we turn it to the back, just place it on the chopping board. We grab a teaspoon of filling, just place it on the leaf. And you can either turn the sides in like this first and then roll the top like that. Or you can actually just roll it first like this and then roll the sides in. Now you do roll them pretty tight, so they won't break. Usually they won't break because what happens inside, the onions and the tomatoes shrink, but the rice expands. And the actual grape leaf expands a little as well, so that works really, really well that way. Just make sure you don't put too much filling in there because it will be very hard to roll. So again, I just mix that oil into the rice. Make sure all the oil and lemon's getting in. Just continually stir that. Okay. All right, so you put it in the center, turn the lips either way, turn in the sides, and just roll that tight. Look at that, that's beautiful. Okay, so this is a bit of a small one. Make sure if the leaf is small, put less filling in it. Okay, just make it to the size of the leaf. And again, if you've got a big one, then you can put a lot more in that as well. So once you get used to this, it actually doesn't take long to make them. Just got to coordinate your fingers a little. You do get faster and faster at it. Okay, so now I'll just place them in the pot. So when you place them in, make sure you place them nice and tight against each other because when it starts to boil, you're going to find it's going to be a bit of an issue. So I tend to put these little ones in the little corners, in the tight areas. Okay, so that's the first layer, and I will be putting probably 3 to 4 layers in there. Just squeeze that down. Beautiful. So every time that I put some filling in, I will mix it to get that oil up to the top and the lemon. So now I'm going to place it straight into the pot. Okay, now just coming down to the second last one, and I've done a count, rough count, and it's roughly just over 150. So I've never actually counted these before, so I'm quite surprised. Mind you, these leaves are a little smaller than normal, so the bigger the leaves, the less you're going to make, but the more volume that will be in the stuffed vine leaf. Okay, and so we didn't have that much left of the filling, which is fantastic. The ratio was quite good. Very happy about that. So if you look inside here, I have 3.5 layers of stuffed vine leaf. Now, I put a little bit in the center because the plate is domed. So when I put it on top, it'll sit a lot better. And now I'll just place water on top. And I'm just going to place it to the top of the rim of the plate. Okay, that's enough. You don't want to put much more than that. All right, so now I'll just put the lid on and I'll put that on the stove. I'll turn the oven on high. So now I'm going to let it come to a boil, and then when it does boil, I'm going to turn it down to low and let it simmer for around about an hour and a half. Okay, so it's been cooking now for just over 1.5 hours, and I've been checking it periodically, and I checked it around about 15 minutes ago. I tasted one and it was almost done. So I'd say now it is finished, and so now I'll turn it off. and I'll check it out. Okay, so you can still hear it simmering. We'll just take the plate out. Just be careful with that because it will be hot. And this looks fantastic. So you can see there that it's held together pretty well. A couple of places I can see it's opened up, but not much. So that's a really good result. They look fantastic. They look really good. Okay, so now all we've got to do is just let it cool down and taste them. Okay, I'm going to try one. Wow, that is very nice. And the rice is cooked beautifully. Very nice. It's still a little bit warm, but you can eat this warm, cold, in between. It tastes great. So it took a little bit longer to cook than normal, and that's only because I put a little bit too much water in, so be really careful with that. The last thing you want to do is tip the water out because all the juices will go as well, and those juices is what helps make this dish taste fantastic. And I've got to say that I could have put a little bit more lemon in. Those lemons I used were too small. Usually they're bigger and a lot more juicier. So be careful how much lemon you put in. I think more is better than less. So if you've never tried making Warak Enab before, I challenge you to give it a shot. It is very easy and very satisfying. And if you do make it, please leave me a comment below and let me know how you went, and I will get back to you. So if you are interested in these type of videos, I will put some links below of other videos I've made, including tabbouleh, garlic sauce, manouche, labin, shanglish, and a whole heap of other things. I forgot to mention earlier that I've been making this dish for around 5 years, but when I did get the recipe off my mother, she was in early stage of dementia, God rest her soul, and she didn't give me the complete recipe. And so I'd like to thank Tony and Roger for filling in the gaps. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And I'd ask if you please consider to subscribe, hit the like button and share this video, and there's many more to come. Thanks guys.